What is up, everybody? What is going on? What is the latest, bro? So let's see here. I kind of altered this chat a little bit. All I did was make it wide. I didn't have time to like redo this whole thing, but I did make it wider. So still working on chat, but I will try to keep increasing it a little bit bigger. Let's see here. Now that we are in the building here, let's see, maybe a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, we'll try this for a little bit, see how that works. What is up, everybody? Today is Monday. It is October 22nd. The time on the clock is 11:08 a.m. Of course, that is Pacific Standard Time on the West Coast, the best coast. And let's see, in chat we do have Fluke in the building. We have Phil Yarn. He thought he was first, but he wasn't. We have Logan. Kevin Mars left a message and then retracted it. But then he says, seems like only Mondays are my days off. We have a Viponex. What is up? What's going on? T-Dub, Zypon, Paul Smith, Crunchy, Kev Gret. It's a slow day at work, Anthony. He needs some entertainment. And Kid Tokay, the Rex Terra. So a lot of people checking in right about now. What's going on? So basically what I wanted to tell you guys is I don't have like a tremendous amount of stuff prepared, of course. But you know what I can tell you is, you know how I was talking the other day about how we need a return to normalcy, like the Great C, but normal C. I need to return to normalcy. And once I've returned to normalcy and I have a couple of days of being back in a normal situation, I can get back into the mix. And I believe that's coming in the very near term. So I believe there is good news from that standpoint. It is coming in the near term, a return to normalcy, although not quite yet. The other thing I have to report is I still haven't checked my CPU in terms of like the overclock. Like there's different programs that you could download and you could check out your temperatures and all that stuff. I haven't done any of that. All I've done is gone into a number of different VR games, played a number of different VR games, and things seem to be working pretty darn well. So basically, I'm not so concerned with it. Now, I do know that chat, see, we're not showing the end of chat here. So let's see here. Let me close this down a little bit. We're not really getting the end of chat. So let me try to see if I can squeeze it a little bit. Yeah, I've got a lot of work to do on chat. I've really got a lot of work to do. You know what I'm going to have to do, guys, is I'm going to have to do a little special episode where I simply get on here and just start screwing around with chat until I finally have chat dialed in, and then eventually get that dialed in. But we do have a couple of minor topics to get into today, and probably the lead story of the day. Well, there's actually multiple lead stories of the day. How awesome is that? But one of the big stories is right here. It says, go to the next level of Windows mixed reality with the Samsung Odyssey. And let's see here. If you go over here, so this is, well, this is on Microsoft.com. You know, this is the Microsoft store. They currently have a sale. Now, this is the regular Samsung Odyssey. It is currently on sale for $350. I think we've seen this price a number of times where it's down to $350, but this is not the new version. Let's see here. I was looking for, maybe this is it right here. Yeah, so on the Windows blog, this is dated today, October 22nd. This was at 6 o'clock a.m. in the morning. Go to the next level of Windows mixed reality with the Samsung HMD Odyssey Plus. And we've heard about the Odyssey Plus a number of times, And, you know, it talks about the anti-SDE display innovation. It talks about how it has an improved ergonomic design. It weighs only 1.3 pounds. It has a wider eye box to help match your facial features. It has some breathable anti-fog material of the face padding, ensures the inside of the eye box doesn't mist up. And so it's got all this stuff. Now, if you go down here, it says the Samsung HMD Odyssey Plus will be available in the US starting October 22nd at the Microsoft Store and Samsung.com, and will soon be available in other regions, including Korea, China, Hong Kong, and Brazil. And it will also be showcased at Unite Los Angeles at the Microsoft booth. That is October 23rd through the 25th. Now, the thing is, I've done some searches. I've bounced around. I'm trying to find this Odyssey Plus. Like, can you buy this right now? And all the searches that I did on like the Samsung. So here's Samsung. Like, you can go to their website, because it said it was available on their website, right, at Samsung.com. And this just says HMD Odyssey. It doesn't say Plus. It says $499. It doesn't talk about any of the special features. It doesn't talk about this anti-screen door stuff. So I'm not sure that this is the Odyssey Plus. I couldn't find anything else on their website as far as this goes. So I don't know. I don't know, you know, where do we get this thing right now? Because it said it was available October 2nd. You can go, let's see, no, that's the blog there. That's the Samsung website. So you go here to the Microsoft Store, and like I said, I found this one for $350, but this is not the Samsung Odyssey Plus. So supposedly it's available out there. Supposedly the Samsung Odyssey Plus is available. It is still not coming to Europe, and a lot of people were very disappointed. Apparently there is still no European support at this point in time. So not sure what's going on. Gerardo Harris says, yeah, it's $500. Kevin Mars says, well, what about the display specs? As far as I'm understanding, the display specs are basically identical. It's basically identical. What you're getting a couple of minor improvements. Let me see if I can find the one where it's the blog here. There are a number of minor improvements. I mean, the single biggest improvement really is what they're talking about. Let me switch over to this one here. What they're talking about down here. This is the Samsung anti-SDE AMOLED display solves SDE. Again, I can't talk. Let's talk. Let's talk good. Okay. Samsung anti-SDE AMOLED. I can't say AMOLED display solves screen door effect by applying a grid that diffuses light coming from each pixel and replicating the picture to areas around each pixel. This makes the spaces between pixels nearly impossible to see. In result, your eyes perceive the diffused light as part of the visual context with a perceived PPI of 1,233 PPI, double that of the already high 616 PPI of the previous generation Samsung HMD Odyssey. So yeah, and it's supposed to have this wider eye box. It's supposed to weigh a little bit less. Let's see, it does have this AKG premium audio technology. I think the first one had that as well, but it might be slightly enhanced here. There's some other little enhancements. I mean, it's got the interpupillary distance wheel, easily adjustable. And I was reading something else where was it? There was some other talk about how like the head strap, there's a bunch of adjustable abilities with the Samsung Odyssey Plus where you might be able to get a slightly better fit to your head than you are with the standard Samsung Odyssey, because a number of things that I've heard about, and this is with a lot of the Windows mixed reality headsets, I've heard that if you have it the way they instruct you to put it onto your head, that you don't get the proper kind of a fit, and that you have to kind of jerry rig it a little bit to get the proper kind of a fit. And so the hope is with these added adjustments, you might be able to get a proper fit with this. And so the Samsung Odyssey Plus is something to consider. It's something to consider. The question, of course, that we have to go to at this point is, would anybody go down this road and get themselves the Samsung HMD Odyssey Plus, or would you go to Pimax? Would you go down the Pimax road? And I guess the advantage going with the Samsung, first of all, it's a lot cheaper. You know, we're talking what, 400 or 500 bucks basically. So you're talking 500 bucks, where if you go with the 5K, isn't it basically 800? The 5K Plus is 800. So you're saving $300 there. You're also getting 2 controllers, and the 5K does not include any controllers, so you got to have controllers, you got to have base stations. Obviously, this has the inside-out tracking and all of that. So it does sound like it's a little bit better here. And then the other big difference too is if you go down that Pimax road with the 5K Plus, you're also going to need to dramatically include your graphics card. And with the Samsung HMD Odyssey Plus, you don't need to really do that. If you've got a 1080 Ti, you're probably pretty good right there. But I thought this would be kind of interesting news because supposedly it's available today, but I'm not finding it anywhere today. But, you know, people are talking about it on the Oculus subreddit here. I was going to see, let's see, what are people actually saying in here? Let's go back over and see what people are saying. They say, higher resolution isn't enough anymore for me to upgrade. Having a Vive, Rift, and PlayStation VR, I have enough headsets for now. My next HMD must have a bigger field of view. And Casman321 says, if they get rid of SDE or almost, I don't get why they didn't up the FOV. I guess the diffuser doesn't work with bigger gaps between pixels. I buy it anyway. No, I mean, increasing the FOV is a completely different ball game. You have to completely redesign the headset if you're going to do that. So you really have to have a completely redesigned headset if you're going to increase the FOV. So let's see what people are talking about. Charles Van Nolan says, I bet the anti-SDE is just a tiny blur on the display. Well, it is somewhat of a blur, but I think it's a blur that is, it's a blur. It's a blur that has been designed very specifically to try to trick your perceived resolution of it where it just looks better. I think this could work. I honestly believe that having some kind of anti-SDE technology, the proof is in the pudding. I think somebody could put on one of these Samsung HMDs with this anti-SDE, and you might really not really see that SDE, and you might say, well, it's just blurring everything. No, I think they figured out how to blur just in between the pixels, and so they're blurring that a little bit. It could work. I mean, it could work. I would love to try one of these personally. I definitely would like to try one of these. John Schubrook says, how comfortable is the Odyssey headset? Well, the question is, how comfortable is this newer one? Because the way I understand it is the Odyssey, the original Odyssey, is the most comfortable of all currently existing Windows mixed reality headsets. It's easily the most comfortable of all of those. However, I also heard that there still is a bit of an issue in terms of trying to get it dialed in where you have that right view, where you're getting a proper field of view, and you kind of have to mess with like the halo on your head and kind of tilt it and basically have it in a way that is not natural. That's the existing Samsung Odyssey. You have to kind of screw with it, is what I've always heard. This version has some different ability to adjust different parts of it, which might mean that now you can have an improved fit that will really work nicely. So that is kind of interesting there. Kevin Mars says, I'm going to have to wait till something new comes out before I upgrade anything, which still work with all the Lighthouses controllers I have. Oculus would be my first choice. And Jason Walker says, the Pimax seems DOA. The more Pimax friendly crowd in the Vive subreddit seem to be down on it. And yeah, Gerardo Harris says, great headset, but are the controllers still the same because they suck? And Charles Van Nolan says, yeah, even a tiny blur would look nicer than having crisp black lines dividing up pixels. And Crunchy says, I'm also interested in seeing the anti-SDE technology. And so one of the things is that this Samsung Odyssey HMD Odyssey Plus, which I said Odyssey a couple of different times there, but it might be available starting today at Windows stores. So if you have a Windows store in your local area, you might be able to try one of these Samsung Odyssey Pluses and actually see the screen door technology for yourself and to see if it really works like that. The Rex Terra says it's really comfortable. It has a PSVR like head strap. And I do believe that the PSVR is the most comfortable headset, bar none. Well, I haven't tried the Samsung Odyssey. I haven't tried all these Windows mixed realities. But the thing about PlayStation VR is it really feels like a pillow. Is just like it feels nice and comfortable. I love the PSVR in terms of the fit. Now, the one downside with PSVR is you slide it in and you're trying to get your eyeballs as close to it as possible, but it doesn't go in any further. It goes in to a certain point and it stops there, and there isn't any kind of a hack or anything that you can do to try to get even closer. So, you know, that's one of the downsides there. You just get the standard field of view. Let me go ahead and switch this trailer up, just throwing random trailers on here. Let me switch this up because we don't want to be on the same trailer endlessly. Don't know if I have a Samsung trailer. Well, here's a, I guess I do have some type of Samsung thing, but I think this is from somebody's YouTube channel. But it just has some Samsung stuff that's going on here in the background. Gerardo Harris says, an hour ago, I read an update that it was out for sale now on the Microsoft site. Jason Walker says, I have a big head and the Odyssey is opened all the way and just barely fits. So if the new version doesn't have a wider halo, it'll be a real deal breaker for me. And then Paul Smith says, moving the back of PSVR up brings it closer. And Kevin Morris says, I need a hack program like Trinus that can use the Oculus lighthouses and controllers. The Oculus just has, you know, the USB sensors and all of that. Not actually lighthouses, but, you know, we know what you're talking about there. So that is the Samsung HMD Odyssey Plus. I'm still slightly interested in it, slightly intrigued by it, primarily from the standpoint that it is OLED. It does have this higher resolution. It has the resolution of the Vive Pro, right? So, I mean, if you're thinking about getting an HTC Vive Pro, wouldn't you consider the Odyssey because you're saving money? Now, you got the inside-out tracking, and then you got the problems that people talk about with the controllers, sometimes losing the controllers. I thought I read something, though, about the Bluetooth connectivity, that it has inside-out tracking, but I think this version does have some kind of special sauce where it might track the controllers slightly better on this Odyssey Plus. Maybe not. I'm not sure, but I did see something about that. But with the anti-screen door technology, if you're considering the HTC Vive Pro, like this would have to be a major consideration, I think. And if you're going to Pimax, certainly Pimax would be a major consideration, but you got to buy another video card too. And some of us don't want to get a 2080 Ti because we don't want to spend, what is it, $1,350? I think it's $1,350 plus tax, plus probably shipping or whatever, to get a 2080 Ti, which is really what you need to try to enjoy these new Pimaxes that are coming along. So, I mean, it becomes a $3,000 expense if you're going to go down that road. So I think the Odyssey Plus is a consideration. It's an oddity. The Odyssey is an oddity. It is something I would like to try out. It does seem kind of interesting. So there is that. Now, another thing we can talk about, so let's move off of the Odyssey for a second. One thing I did see, this is on the Vive subreddit as well, is this guy is working on a room scale game that I think is kind of interesting. It kind of reminds me, have you guys seen this? So this kind of reminds me of Unseen Diplomacy. So this guy made this room scale game that is operating in a relatively small space. It's a relatively small room scale space. So Gary of VR Roundtable fame, Gary could probably do this in his room. And what it does is you're kind of walking around in a certain corner, you're looking at this, and then you turn back around and it's created this new other room that kind of wraps around. And that's what they're doing here. I'm going to go ahead and switch this to full screen game trailer. Let's listen to it for a second. I don't know if there's much going on here. Or actually, oh, there isn't any audio at all. Okay, so there's no audio on this. But this is a full screen version where it's kind of showing you how it's tricking your perspective. You turn around, you're looking at another corner of the room, and then it wraps and gives you like a new corner of the room. So it's kind of like a room within a room that keeps creating a room within a room. It's a really interesting concept, really interesting idea. And it's a way that maybe we can trick ourselves into imagining we're in a much larger space than we truly are. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't know if this really works very well. And it could be this guy is at the very beginning of this. But yeah, if you go to the HTC Vive subreddit, the thread where they're talking about this, Baggy G in the UK says, I loved the non-Euclidean stuff from Unseen Diplomacy. This looks really effective. Looking forward to more information. Yes, non-Euclidean Unseen Diplomacy. Quite yes. And this guy's saying, I'm down. Dose, then play, and lose my mind. Seriously, that is awesome, though. I love reality-bending VR applications like this. Also love the fact you put a bong by that chair. Okay, I didn't even notice that. I didn't know we were going down that road. And then this one guy says, my head hurts. Like, I don't understand this. My head hurts. So yeah, very cool. What kind of game will it be? Wave shooter. That's funny. They're just joking there. That's somebody commenting on it. But yeah, no, I think this is super cool. I think this is something we have to explore. We have to kind of figure this out. I don't know. The problem is if you have a limited room scale space, there's only so much you can really do to trick yourself. There is this idea, though, that if you're turned away, you're looking at something else, that what is behind you, they can change it. They can change it in a minor way, and then when you turn back around, it's slightly changed. But I've always heard that you really need like a 30 by 30 room. If you had a 30 by 30, 30 feet by 30 feet play space, that then you can really do some magical stuff with just slightly moving the pathways, slightly changing things. When someone's walking over here, you're changing the other stuff around it, and you can kind of redirect them and create basically an unlimited space within 30 feet by 30 feet. But who among us is going to have a gigantic room that can do that? Even me in this room, even if I completely emptied out this room and did it wall to wall, I don't have enough space to do that. And so we need to come up with other techniques to do this. Does look interesting, does look kind of cool. Okay, so there was that. Let's see. Do we have anything else to get into? You know what? I do have something else to get into real quick before we go to anything else. Let me go ahead and throw on... Actually, you know what? Let me throw on the War Dust trailer. Let me throw on the War Dust trailer, and this is the wrong size, so I got to resize it here. I did play this, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit yesterday. I did play a little bit of War Dust yesterday. And so I want to talk about my experience, but I got to be honest. I got to be honest and say that I was only in this for probably 35 minutes or so. So only tried this briefly, and God, do I suck. I absolutely suck at these games. I am horrible at these games. Because I've told you guys a million times, oh, they found the Odyssey Plus on Samsung's page. Let me see if I can copy that. Hold on a sec here, because, yeah, I do want to look that up. So, HK. I can't just copy it straight from here, unless maybe I get into the other window. HMD Plus. I'm curious to see what it shows on their website. I do want to see what that looks like. XE 800 ZBA -AC1 bang. Okay, let's see if we can find this. So anyway, I'll try to get that, but let's talk a little bit of, oh no, it didn't find it like that. Let me see, Google. HK. But anyway, so I have, yeah, this is gonna bring the show to a crawl if I'm focusing on this too much. I wonder if I went back to my YouTube page, could I just copy it? Because it won't allow me to copy it from here. 800 ZBA. But I was playing War Dust yesterday, you know, trying it out. Okay, I think I found it here. And yeah, here it is, HMD Odyssey Plus. Okay, so let's hold up on the War Dust discussion real quick. I just want to go over here to, this is the page. Here it is, HMD Odyssey Plus, and everything is pretty much the same, but it does have the anti-screen door thing here. 110 degree field of view. Did you guys know it was 110? I guess that's kind of standard, right? Dual 3.5-inch display, 590 grams on the weight. Apparently the weight is reduced a bit. Oh, you see this guy, look at, he's breaking through the screen door. How nice is that? That is really quite cool. Breaking through the screen door, the limits of the screen door, with exclusive evolutionary SDE minimizing Samsung display technology, users can perceive a 1233 ppi level resolution. That does sound dope. That does sound dope. And look at, they have a sample here. This is what it looks like at 1616 ppi, actual resolution of their conventional version. And then with their special technology on top, this is what it does. You get a perceived double up. User perceived resolution, anti-SDE, AMOLED, see more, win more, a super wide 110 degree viewing angle. I wonder if that's slightly wider, because I think a lot of them weren't, a lot of them like is the standard field of view for the Vive like 100 degree field of view, or is it 110? Is that the normal? Not sure there. But yeah, so stay dry for greater gaming comfort. And then like that anti-fogging thing as well. It weighs in at just 590 grams. It has the IPD control wheel right there to let you change your IPD. The original one had that as well. It was the only Windows Mixed Reality that had that, right? So easy Bluetooth connection. I was wondering if the Bluetooth did something to help with the controllers at all. Like when the controllers aren't being seen or something. I thought there was something about that. A lot of advertisements for Overturn mixed in here, technical specifications, and you know, that's pretty much there. So it doesn't look like they actually allow you to purchase this right from their website, but they do tell you where you can buy it. So that is the HMD Odyssey Plus. Man, I'd like to check this out. I really would like to check this out. It's going to be interesting to see when some people get their hands on this and report back about how good is this. Because the anti-screen door, I'm telling you, a lot of people will think, oh, that is a gimmick. It's a gimmick of a gimmick. But you'd be surprised. Sometimes these gimmicks will work really nice. And Main Fan is saying no. The Vive is 110. Person is saying it's 110. Original Odyssey was 110. Okay, so that's just the standard there. The Rift is a little bit lower than that. Okay, so that's cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to War Dust. So yeah, every time I play these games, the thing that I always talk about when it comes to multiplayer type of games is, and I've said this every time, like if I get into a Call of Duty game, a Battlefield game, Halo, anything, any multiplayer game where there's good people out there, I step onto the field, I take a couple of steps, bam, I'm dead. I get sniped from like 300 yards away, and then I respawn. I take a couple of steps, bam, sniped again. That has been typically my experience in all kinds of multiplayer games like this. And you know what? War Dust was not anything different. I pretty much got out there and pretty much got killed within seconds. Now, Kevin Mars is saying, hey man, helicopter. Yeah, there's helicopters. There's actual like F-15 planes. There is these little ATVs that you can ride around on. Now, first of all, I'll say that I did get into an ATV, and I was driving that around for a little bit, but it felt weird. It was weird, like when I was in the ATV. Well, I'm playing this standing up, right? So again, we need the VR chair. Remember the VR chair where it moves into the space and then you sit down? So I'm standing up, I'm walking around, I get into an ATV, I'm still standing up, but I'm trying to drive this ATV. That seemed like a bad idea. So I got out of the ATV. You see that ATV rolling along there. I got out of that really quick. I went over to where a helicopter was, and I tried to get into the helicopter, and I just kind of figured, oh, it'd be similar to Grand Theft Auto. You know, just get up to the side of the helicopter, and there'll probably be some kind of button indicator to enter the helicopter. Didn't see any button indicator. Didn't know what was going on, so just abandoned the helicopter. Oh, here's a question for all of you guys that are playing War Dust. How do you activate your goddamn parachute? No, wait. A guy told me, he said, reach both of your hands or like pull a cord or something like that. I couldn't figure out how to activate my parachute because I was up on a building there. I was up on a building and I was trying to jump down and get down to the ground, and I jumped down to the ground and I killed myself by jumping too far. Okay, hands up and triggers. So hands up, and oh, I guess like you're holding like this and you hold your triggers. Oh, okay. See, the instructions, not very good with a lot of these games, or I missed all of the instructions. I really feel, here is my thing about a lot of these VR games. I think it's more of a problem when you're in a headset than it is when you're sitting on a couch. I feel like when I'm in a headset and I don't know what the hell I'm doing, it really frustrates the living crap out of me. Where if I was sitting on a couch and I'm playing a flat game, you go into the options, you try to find stuff, but when you're in the headset, you're in the damn game, and you want to be in the game, you want to be playing the game, and I have a problem with this in a lot of games. What I think a lot of games should do is they should have a little video. Put a video inside your game, a little video tutorial that'll kind of give you the basics of how to play the game. Is it that hard to do that? Create a little video where the screen kind of wraps around you a little bit. You know, the screen wraps around you a little bit and it kind of says, okay, this is how you do this. This is how you load your gun. This is how you walk. This is how you run. This is how you get into a helicopter. This is how you jump off with a parachute. Like, have a little video that plays that I can watch for 5 minutes and then play the game. The other problem I had was just purely with locomotion. And I got to remind you guys here, I'm not complaining about this game and I'm not reviewing this game. I've barely touched it. Like, I need to play this much more before I could ever come close to reviewing it or making any kind of critique. I'm more complaining about how I just don't understand these games. I'm just not good at these games. And this is why I suck, is what I'm trying to say. But one of the problems I did have is trying to locomote, like locomotion. So I'm pushing my thumbstick, and my character is moving like a snail, like barely moving. And then I went into the menu again, and it said something about like lower your hand and you'll move faster. So if you keep your arms lowered, if you don't have either hand up, you keep them down by your side and you push forward, you do move a little bit faster. But I found that every once in a while it gets stuck. And then I started doing this, where I started going like this, like I was playing Sprint Vector, and I started moving a little bit, but I would move a little bit, and then it would have this herky-jerky thing. And then I would move a little bit, and then it would have this herky-jerky thing. It wasn't like I was playing Vindicta. Like when you're playing Vindicta, you go like this, and you're roller skating all over the damn place. There's no hiccup. There's no There's no jittery thing where it like stops you in between it. So I could never figure out how to move properly. I could never quite get the locomotion. And I know when you go into the options, I think there's like 4 different versions of locomotion that you can set. And I'm pretty sure that I had it set to the right locomotion. Gun down, Anth. Aim your gun downwards to run. Well, I had my hands down like this, and I was pushing the controller. I don't know, man. And then, okay, so the other issue I got with this game, is it worth the price of $15? That's what Phil Yarn is asking. Well, for $15, what I will say is you're in a large world, and there's a lot of people running around in there. There's a lot of people shooting, a lot of people in tanks, helicopters, airplanes, a lot of people on the ground. It really is a battlefield kind of a deal. So I would imagine that once you actually learn how to control this game, and once you know what the hell you're doing, you could probably have a good time. I haven't gotten to that point yet. And I only saw one map when I was in there. Logan68 says there's a new map out today. Charles Van Nolan says planes, trains, and automobiles. Yeah, I did not see a train, but I do see these helicopters. I see like these F-15 jets. I see the ATVs and the tanks. Not sure how to get into them. I did get into the ATV one time. Oh, the other complaint I was going to have is nobody was talking. I was around all these other people, and I kept asking them, I'm like, how do you run? How do you run? And it was like no one was talking to me. And so I thought, oh, is my voice not on? But then another time I was playing it and somebody was talking to me. There is a train in the new map. Okay, so I take that back. So you can ride in a train. But yeah, no one was really talking. I was like, okay, how do I run? What button do I hit to do this? Or how do I grab my parachute? No one was talking to me. And then finally somebody started talking to me a few times. But has anybody else noticed that no one's talking? So I kind of thought that was a little bit weird. But yeah, no, I'm going to get back into it. I'm going to try it some more. I definitely want to at least parachute off the side of the damn building now that I realize what you're supposed to do. And hopefully I'll finally learn how to run correctly. Main Fan says, I think you can only hear a few people in your group. They have green names. Okay, I thought maybe it would be based on who's near you and who's far away. Like I would think it would be proximity based. So like if you have a couple people on your team that are really close to you, you'd hear those people, but you wouldn't hear anybody that's like super far away. But I guess it's not proximity based. So you might hear somebody that is way on the other side of the map that's talking to you. I did not get a single kill. I did not kill a single bad guy. I got killed a ton of times and I did not kill a single bad guy. But I'm going to get back into it today. I'll try it some more. That is War Dust. Definitely going to try it more. I think for $15, I think if you like these kinds of games, it's probably worth buying for $15 and playing it for a while. And then, you know, you could probably return it. Although, again, I don't normally like to recommend buying something with the idea that you might return it. But if you like Onward, if you like Pavlov, if you like these kinds of games, if multiplayer is your jam, you probably want to try this out, I would think. And Logan68 says radio is coming soon, and yes, it is proximity based. And Kevin Mars says, take this shit show to the battlefield. Yeah, it'd be super cool if all of us could get into it the same way. Paradise Decay says, if you had an alpha key, Anthony, they have all been revoked now. I don't know. I don't know what kind of key I have. So maybe I won't be able to get into it. That'll be funny. But, well, I tried it one time at least if I can't get back into it. So the other thing I wanted to talk about briefly, that's War Dust. I wanted to throw on another trailer real quick here for a second. And I'll have to resize this. This is Subnautica, baby. Yeah, Subnautica. So here's the deal. I reloaded Windows on my PC, and I downloaded the Oculus software, you know, and I downloaded the Steam software, but I didn't have any games on my PC hardly. I downloaded a couple of games here and there. Now what I've done is I've connected my old hard drive, the original hard drive that I had that still has Windows on it and it has all this other crap on it. And so now it is my F drive. And so on that hard drive is all kinds of Steam games and Oculus games. And I was thinking, okay, so I want to copy them over. Well, a game that I really want to play, I want it to be on my SSD. So whatever I'm actively playing, I want to have that on my SSD so that hopefully it loads up a little bit better, works a little bit better from that standpoint. So Subnautica is like 20 gigs or something. So I copied it from my regular old hard drive that I was using it before. I copied it into the Steam folder on the SSD. And I couldn't get any of these games to play. And then I did some Google searches, and I found out, let me see here, I found out there's a way to do this. So you have to copy this other file over, which I didn't realize at the time. There's this other file that you have to copy over. So like if I go into Steam and I go into Steam apps, okay, so if you go into Steam apps, you'll see like 5 or 6 folders: common, downloading, shader cache, source mods, temp, workshop. And then you're going to see a lot of files below that are app manifest files, ACF files. And so what I've realized is if you copy one of your Steam games to another hard drive, and then you have a brand new hard drive and you want to copy that Steam game over to this brand new hard drive, you got to have the app manifest ACF file in your Steam app folder. Otherwise, it'll try to re-download the whole entire game. And so I figured that out. And so this does work. And so I was able to do this with a number of these games. Right now, all I have on my SSD in my Steam folder, I have Blind, I have Budget Cuts, I have Cyberpunk VR, I have Subnautica, and I have War Dust. That's all I have, but I was able to copy all the ACF, or the ACF files, the .acf files, these app manifest files. And when you go to your old Steam folder, you're going to see a gigantic list of your app manifest, all these ACF files, and you don't know what game is what game. But there's this website, Steam Database or whatever. It's this website I've added here. You guys probably have known about this all your lives, but there's this website here. I'll show you over here real quick in case anybody gets into the same situation that I was in. So here's Subnautica right here, and it has the app ID, C264710. So then you go back to that folder and you find the ACF file that has 264710. You copy that, and you're good to go, and everything worked out great. So it was really nice. So I finally figured that out. That was pretty cool. Didn't know how that worked, but that is nice to get that to work. So what I'm going to do is, it's going to be a managing situation. I'm already regretting. Hold on one sec. Okay, so you guys remember this was the hard drive I got, 500 gigs. I'm already regretting that I didn't get a terabyte. You know what I mean? I don't know how much more it was to get a terabyte. I'm already regretting it because I'm like, man, I'm already in this situation where I've got to manage what files I want to put on my SSD, what files I want to keep on my older hard drive, and going back and forth with that. So of course, the other thing, though, is I could just get another one of these things. I mean, you could probably have 5 of these in your PC, right? It's just going to have another folder for it. And, you're just going to have to figure out how to redirect things and do all of that. Yeah, Crunchy says, only put Windows on the SSD. Yeah, Windows is still on that other hard drive. I haven't reformatted yet because I still got some stuff that's on there. But I'm going to, oh, wait a minute. So Crunchy, you're saying only Windows? Keep it completely blank other than Windows? Like only have Windows, that's it? Are you literally saying don't put any games on that SSD? Or are you saying only put one version of Windows on the SSD and have no version of Windows on the other terabytes? On the other drives? Not sure exactly what you're saying about that. But yeah, slowly but surely figuring this stuff out. But that's the good news, is I believe that I'm finally going to get this stuff dialed in. Now, as far as Subnautica looking better or more graphically intense, I made some minor adjustments to the graphic. It does look better. And Crunchy says, no operating system on the HDD. Okay, just content. Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I plan on reformatting that drive and just loading stuff on there. But I got to get some of the key things that I need to get off of there and then put on somewhere else. But Subnautica, such a beautiful game. And the reason why I wanted to go back to it is somebody was talking about how they just got a new video card. They were talking about the motion smoothing. They tried the motion smoothing on Subnautica and it completely changed the game for them. It reminded me about Subnautica, and so I decided to go back in there and play that. So did play some Subnautica. I tried to play Cyberpunk VR, didn't load up. I wanted to try Cyberpunk, didn't seem to load up, but I'll have to try it again. Maybe I did it before I copied over the ACF file, so that might have been my problem. Kevin Marr says, here's my setup. Windows SSD, games on D drive. So Kevin Mars, you don't put any games on your SSD, but isn't the whole advantage of having an SSD is that the games are going to like load up better, and like you're not going to have all these loading screens and stuff? Don't you want to have some of your key games on your SSD, like maybe like 200 gigs of games on your SSD? Nope. Really? Okay, but then don't you want to have like another SSD then? Crunchy says games only load faster, but that is only a few seconds. So you're saying don't have anything on the SSD other than Windows? Really? Mainfan says everything on SSD. See, if I got a 1 terabyte SSD, I would have just dumped everything on it. Gopher Chuck says 2 PNY SSDs, 480 for STEM, 2 of the same for Windows, 2 HDD, 2 hard drives for media. And Kid Tokay says, yeah, I run 1 or 2 games max on SSD. Ah, okay, so don't put a ton of games on SSD. Maybe just the game that you're playing primarily more than anything else. Put that on your SSD. So, yeah, I'm learning new things every day. So anyway, that's a lot of that. Why don't we go ahead and check out Road VR or Upload VR? There's actually some interesting news going on. Let me switch over here. So former Oculus CEO Brendan Arib has departed Facebook. I have not read this other than just seen this headline. So seems like all the original dudes from Oculus, the original co-founders, seem to be disappearing slowly but surely. Arib is the second founding member of Oculus to part ways with Facebook in the past 18 months. Obviously, Palmer Luckey left back in March of 2017. Nate Mitchell, who has been leading the Rift and PC organization with Arib, will remain in his position and lead the team. So Nate Mitchell doesn't appear like he's going anywhere. He says, thanks for everything, Brennan. You'll be dearly missed. Can't wait to see what you take on next. So we don't know where Arib is going next. But yeah. So Arib has left. I mean, it's kind of big news. Probably nothing will really change ultimately, but you know, we won't see him on stage doing anything like that. Sony patents a new system for local multiplayer VR. That's interesting. And Holodeck Display Tech, Jurassic World Blue remastered on Oculus Go delivers 5K dinosaurs. I did hear about that. We did hear, of course, about the Seeking Dawn getting a free version. And then here's the Samsung Odyssey Plus, costs $500, uses anti-screen door effect. That is a pretty cool little advertisement there, like that. Oh, this is kind of a big topic here. CCP Games. We expected VR to be 2 to 3 times as big as it actually was. And Road to VR, like that's their lead story right here. CCP Games CEO, we expected VR to be 2 to 3 times as big. And that's why they ended up bouncing out of there. The Icelandic studio known for the long-running MMO EVE Online, they shuttered their VR production studios. It was a surprising move. You know, they're, of course, the Eve Valkyrie guys, the Spark guys. And he says, we expected VR to be 2 to 3 times as big as it was, period. You can't build a business on that. If it does take off, and I mean if, we'll reassess. Oh, my God. So he's coming off as a bit of a hater. He's saying if. Like, how can you believe? How? I don't know how anyone in their right mind can possibly believe that VR is not inevitable to dominate everything. You know, it's simply a matter of time. I could see how somebody might think, well, you know, the problem with VR is you're putting something on your head. And there's some people that just are never going to be interested in putting something on your head. But it's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So, you know, here's Spark. This is one of their games. I'll go ahead and throw this on. I'm a big fan of Spark, by the way. I think it's a really cool game. It's unfortunate that CCP bounced. But yeah, I don't know how you could possibly imagine that VR will not take off. Because he's saying if it does take off, and I mean if, we'll reassess. The important thing is we need to see the metrics for active users of VR. A lot of people bought headsets just to try it out. How many of those people are active? We found that in terms of our data, a lot of users weren't. That's another thing that seems mind-boggling to me, that there would be people that buy VR headsets and don't use them anymore. VR was such a freaking game changer for me. I don't know how anybody could go back. But we talked about this the other day. They must have tried some really shitty, crappy experiences. Didn't really work for them. Maybe all the wires and everything, they were tripping over their wires, and they ultimately just decided to write VR off. Despite shuttering the Atlanta-based office behind Spark and selling Eve Valkyrie to Sumo Digital, both games remain functional today. Yeah, both games are functional. And Peterson still has hope, though, that headsets like the Oculus Quest will have the mass appeal to bring the user numbers the company needs to see more before jumping back into VR. So yeah, that is CCP Games basically saying why they got out of here. And it is a reality. It certainly is a reality because we've talked about this. We go to these various Steam pages for all these different games, and it's amazing how few users like the reviews you see. It really is kind of shocking. Like, for example, I mean, here's an example for you. This is Mind Labyrinth VR Dreams, and I got to try this again now that I've got my VR working properly, that my video card and everything is working properly. I want to try this again just to make sure that I didn't get a false impression that first time. But Mind Labyrinth VR Dreams, no user reviews. This was available on October 14th. I mean, no user reviews doesn't mean that no one bought this game, but it does mean that it was not a huge seller, because if it really was a huge seller, there definitely would be some user reviews. So, I mean, this is an example. Is VR dead? Is VR dying? Do I need to just cancel this channel together? Do I need to shut VR game rankings down? I don't believe so. I believe this is going to, I believe it's unstoppable. It's just going to get better and better and better and better. And Samsung has brought some anti-screen door technology to the forefront. Maybe that will be the difference. I don't know. Let's see what people are talking about over here in chat. Charles Van Nolan, all they need to do is work on getting the headsets down super duper cheap. Gopher Chuck says, I can't do my Sims without the Vive anymore. Crunchy says, companies thought VR would explode like iPhone blew up the smartphone market, but it took the iPhone a while. Like, it didn't just come out and blow everything up right away, right? Charles Van Nolan says, then devs will move in and flesh out the market with content. Gopher Chuck says, it's the future, no matter what the crybabies say. I mean, the one contingency I'll say is VR AR is the future. And it could be some kind of hybrid. In fact, wasn't it, we just heard about somebody was working on a hybrid that will actually, was it Samsung that's working on this hybrid that will do VR and AR at the same time? We kind of thought those hybrids were maybe 10, 15 years away before we'd see a hybrid like that. But it could be a hybrid kind of a situation. But I pretty much feel like it is inevitable. It is absolutely inevitable. I mean, I look at Magic Leap stuff. Once they just get these things smaller, they start putting graphics in your reality, spatial computing. It's gonna happen. It is gonna happen. It is impossible for it not to happen, in my opinion. I'm just not buying it. It's gonna get lighter and lighter and lighter weight. It's gonna get more comfortable. It's gonna get so much more gorgeous in terms of your, the field of view, the resolution, everything is just going to keep improving. So I just cannot imagine a scenario where VR just freaking dies and goes away. That scenario does not seem likely to me. Alrighty guys, well, we've been going for about an hour here. Let's see, I was just going to see if there was any other late breaking news that popped up. I'm going to check PSVR subreddit real quick here. Sony doing research on hand tracking and inside out tracking. There was a patent that was submitted in June of this year, so that's good news. So Sony is working on hand tracking. They are working on inside out tracking as well, which is something I think we do need to see. We absolutely do need to see that in the future. I mean, I've said it before. I believe a lot of these headsets, they need to have hand tracking from the get-go. So if you put it on and you didn't grab your controllers, you can still do something. And then you can go get your controllers if you need to. But hand tracking needs to be a part of the equation. Let me double check what they got going on the Oculus subreddit real quick. They're talking about the Oculus co-founder leaving Facebook after cancellation of Rift 2 headset. What? What is this news? Wait a minute. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Oculus co-founder is leaving Facebook after cancellation of Rift 2 headset. Okay, this is what you guys are talking about on TechCrunch. See, I just saw this now. This is, yeah, and Anthony suddenly sees it. Fake news. Okay, Brendan Arib, the co-founder and former CEO of Oculus, announced today that is leaving Facebook. Arib is leaving Facebook following some internal shakeups in the company's virtual reality arm last week that saw the cancellation of the company's next generation Rift 2. What? No way. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, even if that was true, like even if that is really actually true, like, and I won't deny that could not, I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible that they've canceled the Rift 2. Because what they could have done internally, I mean, they have made no announcements on the Rift 2. Here it is. Oculus co-founder is leaving Facebook after cancellation of Rift 2 headset. Hey, this is on the internet. This is true, right, guys? This is true. Like, this must be true. Like, it is words written on the internet. They got a picture and everything. Look, they got a picture of the guy, and he doesn't look too happy. He looks kind of sad. So this must be true, right? It's on the internet. It's on a website. It's got to be true. But no, what I will say towards this is this could actually literally be a true story. And it doesn't mean like, oh my God, VR is over. No, it means that Oculus could have internally made a decision with all this Pimax shit that is going on that maybe they need to completely redesign the Rift 2 from where it was going. Like maybe, I mean, decisions are made in boardrooms where they have a product that may be like 75% of the way down its path, and then they might decide, by the time we come out with this, it's not going to be what we need it to be. We need eye tracking. We need AR, MR support in a better way, or we need to redo the whole entire thing. It's possible. It's entirely conceivable that something like this can happen, but it's not like Facebook is giving up on AR. That would be the headline that would scare the shit out of everybody and shock our collective worlds if Facebook just got out of VR completely. That would be the shocker. Facebook has the Oculus Quest. It's going to be one of their biggest products ever. They're coming out with it next spring. They just had Oculus Connect 5. Could they be scrapping what their Rift 2 was at this current moment in time and basically decided, you know what, we're going to start over? Or maybe could they even go down the road where they don't care about the PC anymore and they go 100% standalone? Like, that would not completely shock me. It really wouldn't, because honestly, they want to get away from Windows. They want to get away from Steam. They want to get away from this idea that you got to keep upgrading your video cards. You got to keep doing this. You got to keep doing that. So Facebook could go down that road. It is entirely conceivable, but they're not giving up on VR. And I could understand that if you're Brennan Arib and if you're there and you're on the inside and you thought that Rift 2 was pretty much a done deal and it was going to be announced in late 2019 at Oculus Connect 6 and it's going to release in spring of 2020, and then all of a sudden you find out that internally, no, you know what, we've scrapped Half Dome. Half Dome is not going to be a product. We might have a new product, but it's not going to be Half Dome. And if you were 100% into Half Dome and that was your deal, then maybe you're like, okay, well, F it. I'm going to leave this company now because this pissed me off. This decision has pissed me off. I'm leaving this company because now it's going to take too long, and they're going down the standalone route. And maybe Brendan Arib isn't into the standalone idea so much. So, I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Things can happen. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, that's a last minute story. It's certainly controversy right there. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of YouTubers weighing in on what they believe about this controversy here. TechCrunch, this is going to be a major deal. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. I think it's exciting. I think it's kind of cool. Chris Cox says, Donald Trump has just announced a ban on VR. And then MameFan says, a lie? Oculus Connect 5 was just Quest. Yeah. Crunchy says, they never told us what Rift 2 would be, just that they have a few different ideas. And Andy Sky says, Parmax Star VR really pissed Oculus because they know 210 field of view is just not ready for many, many years, but all the damn companies are rushing it. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, somebody mentioned that Oculus Connect 5, like, Oculus Connect 5 would be a total joke if this was true. But again, Oculus Connect 5 was mostly about Quest. It really was mostly about Quest. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, guys, I got to wrap this show up. We've been going for a while. Let me go ahead and throw on my outro. I got to get out of here. We'll probably talk more about this rumor tomorrow. Certainly interesting. We'll definitely get into it a little bit more. Anthony, check Variety. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, guys, that has been it for today's show. You can certainly go ahead and bounce over to the website. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, like the video, all that usual stuff. And like I said, look, I am going to be back, folks, to better shows, more topics, more trailers, things prepared for the show, a little bit more. The 20-minute episode, I'm going to try to do a 20-minute episode today. I actually have to get my video editing software onto this Rebelt PC again and do all of that. Although it's on that other hard drive. I wonder if I can just fire it up from that other hard drive. It might not work. I don't know how that will work. But I have to do that. But we're going to get back to some normalcy pretty soon. So that'll be interesting. All right, guys, bouncing out of here. Take it easy. We'll see you tomorrow around 11 a.m. Pacific time. See you then. Later.